This channel's name is OC Racing, but if you've been following my content for the last year, you would know that the last thing I do here is actually race. So with the release of Gran Turismo 7, I figured I'd start walking y'all through a few of my online multiplayer races. You join me here in Deep Forest Raceway for my first ever race in GT7. Starting near the back of the grid and paired with a pathetic start, I'm quickly dead last at the very start of my first race. There are two major things to keep in mind throughout these next few races. The first is that I have very little idea of what I'm doing, as I'm not familiar with this track or with this car, and the second is that car tuning had a far bigger impact than I was expecting. At this point, I'm just trying to keep up with the pack as I realized my car was not properly tuned, and without the tow, I would just quickly fade away. Unfortunately, I was paying too much attention on the cars up in front and didn't remember to slow down, causing me to bash into the barrier, earning myself a 1.5 second time penalty, not even a few turns into my first race. This has gotta be some type of new record. Anyway, there was nothing left for me to do but to get my head down and keep pushing, albeit with an underpowered car. You start to see some chaos early on as tires are still cold and many people, including myself, are not familiar with the track and its braking points. Fast forward a little bit and the red Mitsubishi up in front loses grip on the turn and goes sideways. As I begin to pass him on the left, however, he tries to ram into me for literally no reason. Thankfully the game recognized that and quickly ghosted him before he could do any damage. I guess this is a good example of what you will commonly see in these lower rigged races. Fast forward to the second lap, not much has happened thus far. I've gained a few positions by remaining consistent and am mostly focusing on getting to grips with the track. Up in front, however, you see a plethora of smoke and yellow flags as the driver in 8th locks up going into the turn up ahead. This was my indication to keep pushing and try to make the most out of his mistake. Speeding up a bit more, I'm pushing hard to try to make the most of what I have, but again, I completely overcook it coming into the fast corner and once again meet the barrier head on, gaining me yet another unnecessary penalty. This allows the driver in the blue Sylvia to quickly pass by and take 10th place. You know you're having a bad race when a driver with the word slow in his name is overtaking you. Fast forward once again to the final lap of the race as not much has happened thus far, and I'm now chasing the white car up in front looking to take 11th place. This series of fast corners was a matter of measuring your car's grip and keeping consistent while pushing as much as possible. Unfortunately, he does brake a little bit too early in my opinion, and I accidentally bump into the back of him. And while I did let off the throttle to let him keep the position, I am yet again awarded a penalty, albeit one that I actually deserved. Exiting the corner, you also get a sense of how vastly underpowered my car was throughout this whole race, which ended up being a disappointing way to make up my online GT7 debut, to say the least. Right then, race number 2, and it's a very similar story. Same car, same track, but this time I did try to do a little bit of tuning. But as you will see throughout the race, I had little to no idea of what I was doing. A pathetic car means that all cars quickly passed by, and once again, coming to T1, I was dead last. Something I did realize was that T1 seemed a lot more civilized than I expected, considering this is a low-ranked lobby on the second day of the game's release. In front of me, we have a very proud Brazilian in the Yaris, followed by a group of 4 cars. Once again, my main goal was to remain as close to the pack as possible to have any chance to salvage this race, but in these bits of straight, you really get a sense of how much less powerful my car is. Entering the sweeping corners, I do seem to maintain more speed than the cars up in front, which allowed me to catch up significantly. It also meant that I bumped into the Yaris as he decided to brake on the apex for no reason. Interestingly enough, I didn't receive a penalty for that one. Anyways, once again, it's a matter of putting the pedal to the floor and sticking with everyone up in front, where nearing the downhill corners, many people start to make mistakes and begin to lose control. This allows me to make up a position and keep on pushing. Once again though, all of that work was for no avail, as I would lose seconds in the straight due to having a car which was not properly tuned, or perhaps I was just not using the right setup. This was not only frustrating, but also worrying as I realized that I have a lot more learning ahead of me than I originally anticipated. Nearing the end of lap 1, myself with the 4 cars up in front are all going to absolutely overcook it coming into the tight corner, and we all go wide with 2 hitting the barrier. Weirdly enough, no penalties awarded there. and as I was paying attention to the two cars battling up in front, I forgot I was racing myself and I ran into the grass for literally no reason, causing me to lose the position I just gained. Once again, nothing for me to do but to just try to remain consistent and keep focus on what was ahead. Fast forward to the second lap, and once again I begin to need their cars up in front, as not only do I get more acquainted with the circuit, but I also feel more confident with the fast swooping corners of Deep Forest. Here it's just a matter of running my own race and hoping the faster cars up in front make some mistakes, just as the white Sylvia in 11th place demonstrates. But once again, history repeats itself, and as we begin to leave the curvy section of the track and approach the straights, the cars up in front are easily able to just pull ahead and leave me in the dust.
Hello darkness, my old friend.
On the last lap, I now find myself in 10th place as some drivers crash and decide to leave, and I now find myself chasing the yellow Civic up in 9th in the part of the track where I found myself gaining the most time. I stick with him for a few corners as I knew that I had to try to remain into his slipstream coming into the long straight or he was gone, and unfortunately the latter happened. As the straight approached, he once again was able to fly by with nothing for me to do. This led me to finish the race in a disappointing 10th place, despite the slight tuning I did do to my car. Coming into the third and final race though, things were going to change, or at least I thought they were. I get a fantastic start off the line that would have likely overtaken 3 cars if the guy in the Civic wouldn't have swerved to the right to prevent me from passing. And once again, the exact same thing occurred as 2 cars quickly zoomed by on the straight leading into T1. Talking about turn 1, some chaos is seen here as the car up in front spins out and comes across the track, causing me to skip a beat for a second. This leads me to let off the throttle and have a poor exit off the corner, which gives a chance for 2 more cars to easily pass by. For this race, I switched up the car for one which I saw more people were using on the previous 2 races, but without proper knowledge on tuning and car setups on this game, I was losing time. Into the sweeping corners, here is where the carnage begins. The guy in 10th place has a slow dance with the barrier, and Daryl up in front is making out with it. I zoom by and for some reason downshift abruptly, and before I know it, I get spanked from the back end and quickly making out with the barrier myself. Despite that, I get back on track and continue pushing, as I know this is my only chance to have a proper race, as losing pace with the guys up in front would leave me running my own race at the back. Thankfully, Bernie hears my calls and once again finds the barrier, allowing me some time to gain back that position. Or at least that's what I thought I was going to do, but clearly he has different ideas as he dive bombs into the inside and nudges me off track. Finally, to add insult to injury, I am once again reminded on how underpowered my car is as he flies into the abyss on the straight, where I'm left with no chance of catching up.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't.
A lonely race was to follow as I finished up myself in a disappointing 11th place. What I learned through these first 3 races was that I have the driving capability of being a lot more competitive on track, but I need to figure out 2 things first. The proper car tuning and setups, and I must also practice and learn the track I'll be racing on before heading into the race. Let me know if y'all want to see more videos similar to these, as they're certainly out of the ordinary for me. And as always, thank y'all for watching, stay safe, and have a fantastic rest of your day.